over on Instagram, you've been seeing a lot of gardening stuff on stories recently, and when I gave you the option of having a gardening video this year, you said yes. So let's take a look at what we bought as seed, what we've started as plants on the kitchen floor, and what still needs to be started this year. So let's get into it. All right, before we talk about this, we're going to talk about this situation. We have 22 seeds from OSC, which of that, 18 are OSC seeds, 3 are Amers Organic seeds, and 1 is Amers International. We have 10, or we had 10 seeds from West Coast. We've added some stuff in the past couple days from West Coast, so that number's off. We have 9 things from Mackenzie Seeds. We have 1 thing from Burton Seeds. We have 3 things from Prairie Garden. We have 5 things from Silver Creek. We saved 2 seed varieties from last year. And then since then, we've also purchased, I think, 5 more things from a local nursery. So it's a lot, but we have the space for it. And some of the stuff we're putting in is a very long time to grow. So the hazelnut trees we're putting in this year, the cherry trees and the pear tree, those are all long-term things that we're just starting this year. Same with the asparagus that's going in this year. Like, we're not going to see the benefit of that this year. So some of the stuff we're putting in so that we have it. But let's get into what we're putting in to enjoy this year. So this is actually why I got my full-size traveler's journal, because I wanted to be able to have somewhere to take all my gardening notes and everything. That was just a little bit bigger than the passport for sketching and all that stuff, because as much as I hate sketching day to day, I love sketching out garden beds. I love drawing them out. It brings me great joy. So we got this. I have my pen up top. I keep my bulldog clip either here or here, but right now my pen's up here. I would also say that this is mostly a storage compartment. So I have the plastic sleeve, the business card sleeve, that's what it's called, and then the file folder that's cardstock. But then we have the gardening journal, and I always sketch on my covers of traveler's journals. I have not done this one yet. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do on this one. This is my class planning and events journal, and so I need to figure out the right thing to do on it, I feel like. But this is my gardening journal cover. I quite like it. And so let's get into it. Where's page 1 of this year? Here's page 1 of this year. So January 3rd, we did our first seed purchase. But it wasn't actually our first seed purchase, because I believe we had already purchased some of these seeds before January 3rd. January 3rd was just the day I wrote what we had down. So we started with OSC Heirloom Swiss Chard, Amers Organic Rainbow Swiss Chard, OSC Arugula ×2. Mom really likes arugula. For herbs, we have Amers Organic White Tape Onions. They're not, I will describe them as like, they're that. So they're not ball onions, they're bunching onions, but they come in tape, because onion seeds are very little. So we did them in a tape. Sweet basil from OSC, dill from OSC, Amers Organic Cilantro. I don't like it, Mom does. OSC parsley. Vines I'm sort of using as a catch-all term this year for anything that does not fit in another category, obviously. So OSC squash. This is actually a hybrid zucchini version, and we tend to have really good luck with zucchinis, and this, I believe, is an early variety zucchini, which we quite like. Last year we had zucchinis from early June through mid-October, which was great because we just planted a whole bunch of different varieties, and we're planning to do that again this year. We have zucchini squash heirloom bush. So we do both vine zucchinis and bush zucchinis. Vine zucchinis we find tend to do better in the spring and early summer, and then bush zucchinis for us tend to do better in the fall. And so the bush zucchini seeds will go directly in the ground in the fall, but we'll buy a couple of vine zucchini seedlings from a nursery when it's time for them to go in the ground. We also did lemon cucumbers from OSC. I've been seeing these for a little bit, and every year there's always like a couple things that I want to try just because they look cool. I think this year I've picked 3. This is one of them. We're gonna see, we're gonna try. They might work, they might not. OSC Black Beauty eggplant heirlooms. Mom loves eggplants, and so we're doing them again this year. We actually had fairly good luck with them last year, though they didn't come up until and start producing eggplants until like into September, but we had eggplants September, October, so whatever. For roots, this year we're doing 2 different varieties of beets. I don't like beets. Other people in the household do though, so we're doing beets. We're doing many varieties of peppers. We're doing OSC Mexican hot mix and OSC Caribbean red hots. And then for flowers, we started with lupins. Flowers has greatly exploded since then. This is an early sketch out of like roughly garden beds. This has changed a lot since then. And we do have raspberries and rhubarb and a cherry tree already. And so we were just like, where do we have stuff? Let's figure out where else we're putting stuff in. But this was sort of like a, how many beds do we have? Oh, we're actually changing some stuff up. And then January 11th, we were looking at trees and realized some of the trees we wanted were already sold out. And so suddenly we did a garden order. From Prairie Garden Seeds, we ordered spoon tomatoes, which are about the size of a sweet pea. We ordered Fire Steel tomatoes, which are an early variety tomato, and we ordered 1805 smoothies, which are a variety of cucumbers. From Silver Creek Nurseries, which is a nursery that mostly grows trees and mostly fruit trees, we ordered a Bartlett pear crossed with something, but it's also a dwarf, so it's only going to grow, I believe it's 12 feet. We ordered 2 Romeo dwarf sour cherries to go with the cherry tree we already have, which is a sweetheart cherry, and then we ordered 2 northern hazelnuts, mostly because they sounded fun. And they take a couple years to be established, but once they're established, apparently they're good to go. Then we did a West Coast Seeds order, where we ordered dark green Italian parsley, space F1 spinach, because spinach is one of the only greens I can eat, but spinach tends to bolt very easily. Apparently the space F1 spinach variety that West Coast Seeds has been growing doesn't bolt as easily in the warm weather, and so we're going to try it this year. It came with 250 seeds apparently. We got super sweet F1 100 cherry tomatoes. We got red candy cane peppers, jalapeno medium peppers, and rainbow snapdragons. And then this after that was our total. So we had a huge increase in the number of things we had going on. But that is not the end of buying seeds. I did, though, take a break and draw out some seed packets because I like doing things like this. It brings me joy. Then we have plants orders. 1, 2, 6. I don't know. Too many. So, Jan 27th, we went to Home Depot and we got Bird and Seeds American Flag Leeks, Mackenzie Seed Tape Lettuce Salad Bowl, Sweet Pea Everlastings from Mackenzie, and Sweet Pea Little Sweetheart Mix from Mackenzie. We went to PV Mart, which had just announced their bankruptcy. One of them did not have seeds. One of them did have seeds, and it was highly picked through. And then we basically took everything we wanted because they were also 30% off packets of seeds, which never happens. So we got Mackenzie Green Arrow peas. We got Mackenzie Alaskan peas. We got Mackenzie Dwarf Green Curled Kale. We got Mackenzie Viking Asparagus. We got Mackenzie Tender Green Improved Bush Beans. We got a variety of peppers that I can't pronounce, but are apparently mild and quite tasty. and everybody, every time I talk about them, is very excited we got them. We got mustard greens from West Coast Seeds. We got magenta sunset Swiss chard from West Coast Seeds, and we got rhubarb Swiss chard from West Coast Seeds. And if you're keeping track, that brings our Swiss chard count for the year up to, I believe, 4 packets of Swiss chard. Mom really likes Swiss chard. So yeah, we've got a lot of it going on this year. Will all the varieties be planted? I don't know, but we'll find out. Then we went to the co-op. I love a good co-op. I love a good farm store. And with the closure of PV Mart, we are frequenting the co-ops far more often because they are an important part of the economy for anyone that gardens. So we went and we picked up OSC mouse melon cucumbers, which are another one of the, oh, this looks really cool, I'd like to do this, please, plants. And then we picked up OSC loofah gourd seeds, which are Mom's, I want to try this plant this year. And then we picked up Amer's International rhubarb seeds, which we have a rhubarb patch. It is very established, but with a garden reshuffle we did in the fall, the rhubarb patch has been moved, and it's going to take at least a year, potentially 2, to reestablish itself again. And so it is a good time for us to be adding in a couple new seedlings. So that is what we're doing. I've started many seedlings, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Mom went to a garden center and picked up West Coast Seeds Blue Spear Lavender and Wild Bergamot. I believe she also ordered French Lavender, which is hard to get, but she loves it. And then we did an order from Ontario Native Plants. We have raspberries. We have both planted raspberries and wild raspberries. We decided to add to that with thimbleberries and another American hazelnut. And there's one more plant, but we're not sure that we ordered it or not, so it's not on this list. Which brings us to the list. This has been what's keeping me sane for the past several months, because this is when everything needs to be planted. We're actually going to move this clip somewhere. Let's pull this out a little bit. So, this is when everything needs to be planted. So, the beginning of February, the leeks, the Caribbean Red Hots, and the Mexican Hot Mix all went in their own pots. The way we are differentiating pots this year so that nothing gets mixed up is everything has a nail polish color on a, oh, what's the word? Toothpick. Toothpicks are all painted with nail polish. Everything's got a color, and that is all being recorded both on the seed packet and in here. Last year we had some issues. Some things went in the ground. We didn't know what they were. That is not happening this year. Everything is color-coded. Everything, we know what it is. And because of that, things are going more smoothly for the most part. We'll talk about what's not going smoothly in a second. So those went in beginning of February. I believe they went in Feb 9th. Then in the middle of February, Black Beauty eggplants, Viking asparagus, and rainbow snapdragons all went in. Plus, Mom had also purchased a whole bunch of other flowers she wanted to start, which I didn't include in here. Mom's just been sort of purchasing flowers and stuff. And so I'm only really including the things that are going into like the food production garden beds, other than the snapdragons, and I believe the lupins and sweet peas are on here purely because we thought at the time those were the only flowers we were buying this year. That is no longer the case. Anything with a blue dot beside it are all things that have to be soaked before you can plant them. And so I had gone through and figured out what needed to be soaked, because peppers tend to do better if you soak them in a weak chamomile tea. And honestly, we've had good success with that this year. Last year, most of our pepper seeds didn't come up, and this year, nearly all of our pepper seeds have come up, and if all it takes is soaking them in a weak chamomile tea for 30 minutes to an hour, I'm gonna keep doing that. So, middle of February, which was actually give me a date, 14th is when I planted them. Early March was Prairie Garden Seeds, spoon tomatoes, fire steel tomatoes, sweet potato slips, which are not in an earlier plant list, because to do sweet potatoes, you start them one of two ways. You can put them, a whole sweet potato, in a container of water and just keep it watered, and eventually the things will start to grow to the top. Or you can cut it in half and put each half in dirt and make sure that it stays wet and moist. We decided to go with the dirt method this year just to try it. And really all you need is an organic sweet potato from the grocery store. And it is March 12th, and we have little sweet potato slips in the kitchen. And so it seems to be working. The other thing that went in were our tomato seeds we saved from last year from the freezer, and the rhubarb from Amers, which was on the 1st of March. Middle to late March, I will say it's been very middle March because these are all already in. I think they all went in on the 9th, other than the lemon cucumbers, which I have moved back to middle of April. Because some people, after I looked at a bunch of things online, were saying that they didn't actually need as long to start, as long as you were starting them warm. And our house is 73 degrees, and so it's fairly warm. So I think they'll be okay starting them in the middle of April. We'll see if I'm correct or not. Middle of April, we have one of the zucchini varieties, which is a hybrid with a squash, and then we have the other two types of cucumbers. And then we have the full direct plant list. It is a very long list. On top of that, Mom started heirloom basil, cilantro, and parsley in pots in the kitchen because most of what we dehydrated last fall for spices is now gone, and so we officially need a little kitchen garden for herbs. So that's where we're at with that. And then if we turn the page, we get into the fun stuff. So I have been creating spreads for everything because it brings me great joy. Is it needed? Not really, but it makes me happy. So I will say these, for lack of a better term, are the problem children this year. On the 9th of February, all my burden seed, the full tray, got planted out. I read a whole bunch of information online. People said leeks sometimes don't come up, so put 2 seeds in a pot. So I did. I put 2 seeds in a pot, and on the 24th, we had our first leek come up. I was really excited. I think that was actually, our first plants to come up were actually peppers, but I was really excited when our leeks came up. And then nothing else happened. And so then I paper towel germinated the rest of the packet of seeds. So I was like, there are 50 cells of seeds planted. Every cell got 2 seeds. That is 100 seeds out. And I think in total we have had 3 out of 100 come up, and one of those has already died. We're not doing well. None of the paper towel seeds have germinated. So I don't know what's going on with leeks. It doesn't seem like we're going to have leeks this year. But so far, that has been our only disaster. Our next 2 things to plant were Caribbean Red Hots and Mexican Hot Mix. We're spreading out the peppers this year. There was a bit of a disaster with our peppers last year, so this year everything is very well labeled. We know what's in what pots. Mom, though, is a fan of hot peppers. So we have a variety of peppers that on the package in big bold letters warns, only pick with gloves. And that will be fun. Yeah, so I did 9 pots of each of these peppers, purely because our germination rate last year was so poor with peppers, and now we are sort of drowning in pepper plants, but it will be fine because Mom really likes peppers. Next up was Black Beauty heirloom eggplants. I planted 12 pots of these on the 14th of February, and they were first up on the 26th, and on the 5th of March, we had at least one plant in every pot. I do double plant, and I know a lot of people don't. Statistically, at least one of our seedlings will die off. And that's just the experience we've had, is that at least one of them will die off. And so I would prefer to double plant and cull if needed, or potentially, both survive and they just, get split up when we plant them outside. For now, though, at least every pot has one seedling. And that's great. It means we have at least 12 eggplant seedlings at this point. Viking asparagus. I don't like asparagus. Mom does, and it's a multi-year crop. It takes a couple years to get established. It's 2 to 3 years before you can first harvest. I planted them on the 24th. I thought I did 1 seed per pot, and it seems like a couple of them got 2. Nearly every pot is up. I think there's only 2 or 3 that still don't have a plant in them. And we have had plants since the 28th of February. That's crazy. It's sort of like we've sort of got this tray right now that's grass. You've just got this tray that's like little tiny fuzzy grasses, except they're about, 8 inches tall. They look so cute and so weird. I have to say, I was so excited to plant tomatoes, and having those first tomatoes up made me so happy. I love tomatoes. They're one of my favorite things we plant every year, and that's why we plant so many varieties. We also freeze, roast, and dehydrate them. And so we've been living off of garden tomatoes all winter. We are finally getting to the end of them now in March, and it's a bit sad. So we are planting many, many varieties of tomatoes, including this early variety of tomato, which went in on the 27th of February, not March, and came up on the 8th of March with its first plant. I forgot to take a picture when I planted them so you can see the little seedlings, but I believe they're all up now, or like there might be one pot that's missing a seedling. They're quite happy. And then we have spoon currant sweet pea tomatoes. These are the size of a green pea. I saw them in a gardening catalog back in December and absolutely fell in love with them. And then we had to track down the seeds in Canada, which was a little bit of a struggle. We did it. Prairie Garden Seeds happened to have one. They sort of have some more of the obscure stuff. So they got planted on the 27th of February, and the first plant was up on the 7th of March. Were they our first tomato up this year? I think they were. Each of these I planted 5 pots of, and I believe I planted 2 seeds a pot. And they will probably be split up into their own pots potentially soonish. We'll have to see. There's a couple that just that have come up but like aren't really growing, and so those will probably be culled off, but then there's a couple that are quite tall. I was suspicious of these when they came out of the freezer. The other tomato seeds that we bought were bright and beige, for lack of a better term, and these were gray and dark. That being said, they are all starting to come up, and so it seems like we saved seeds successfully last year from our 2 favorite tomatoes. We had small round tomatoes. One of the things we did last year was purchase plants from the garden center that were easily identifiable as a certain type of plant, i.e. a tomato, a squash, but had their tags somehow went missing, and so they were being sold at a very steep discount. These two were that. So we don't actually know what variety of tomato this is, other than the fact that it was very tasty. So I planted out 6 pots because I didn't think they were going to do particularly well, and they've surprised me. And then we have mini heirlooms. These were so tasty compared to our other heirloom tomatoes and seem to do better in our climate. Our regular heirlooms cracked and just didn't do well. These grew to about this size, and that was as big as they got. They were super tasty, and I'm so happy we saved seeds from them. So I'm very excited for them to go in the garden. I also did 6 pots of these, not thinking they were going to come up, but also sort of hedging my bets that if they did come up, we would have a bunch of them. And it seems like we're gonna have a bunch of them, and it should be a good time. We have our grocery store sweet potato. I put it in dirt on the 26th of February, and the first slip was up on the 10th of March. So it didn't actually take all that long. I think right now we've got 4 or 5 little slip nodules, and it should just keep doing its thing over the next couple weeks. I just need to make sure it stays watered like everything else. We started rhubarb in a egg carton, actually. Mostly because I didn't know how it was going to do, and so I didn't want to put it in sort of a seed tray. And I was going to start it in a lettuce container, and then we put flower seeds in lettuce containers, and I went, well, I guess I'll start it in an egg carton, and like every seed will just get its own carton section. So that's what I did. They were planted on the 1st of March, and the first plant was actually up on the 10th, so they only took 9 days. And I think right now we're at sort of 7 or 8 little rhubarb seedlings. They're very short, they're about that tall. Their leaves are really interesting though. They come up in sort of 3 that spread apart. So I'm interested to see how they grow, and I guess we'll be giving away rhubarb seedlings to neighbors. Because if everything I planted grows, we will have 32 rhubarb plants. Though there seem to be mixed reviews on starting rhubarb from seeds, which is why we started so many. We're just gonna have to see what happens. On the 9th of March, I did my mid-March start of seeds, and that is sort of my final one until into April. I started red candy cane peppers, and I did 5 pots, which were 10 seeds, 2 seeds a pot. Much like all the other peppers, they got soaked in a weak chamomile tea for an hour, and we're just gonna have to see. They're not up yet. Same with these peppers. So both of these varieties of peppers are mild. They're the only mild peppers we've grown this year. And specifically the red candy cane ones, because we like doing roasted red peppers, and it's been really hard to find shepherd peppers the past few years, and so we're growing them ourselves this year. These ones are just sort of for why not. I'd heard from friends that they liked them. We happened to find them at PV Mart for 30% off, and so they came home with us. Finally, we have super sweet cherry tomatoes. They're just another cherry tomato variety. We did 5 pots, and they should do well. I think there were 10 seeds that I planted, so 2 seeds a pot, and we'll either cull or split up. I have a feeling we'll just split up. And then we have medium jalapeno peppers from West Coast Seeds, 5 pots, 10 seeds. And same deal, like if they all grow, we'll split them up, and if not, well, I slightly overseeded. Which, honestly, because our growing season outside is so short, I'd always rather overseed and have to cull or split things up than underseed and not have plants ready to go in the ground when it's warm enough to put them outside. So that is what we're growing this year. And then we have all the things that are just going straight outside. We have dark green zucchinis, arugula, these very fun stripy beets, tender green improved bush beans, more arugula, sunset Swiss chard, more Swiss chard, dill. We love dill. It did not do particularly well last year, so it's going in a different bed this year, and we're just going to have to see how it does. We have lettuce bowl seed tape. I'm quite excited for this. I like growing our own lettuce, but lettuce seeds are very tiny and very annoying to grow. So it will be exciting to just be able to put them down in a tape. We have rhubarb chard. We have another variety of beet. This is space spinach. Really, the most appealing thing is that it's an all-season spinach and that it only takes 42 days. So we'll have to see how well it works. The germination rate isn't very high. It's only 65%, but oh, it says 95 on the front and 65 on the back. All right. Mustard greens. Mom likes these. I'm not a huge fan of mustard greens and arugula, but I'm sure we'll find a use for them. Oh, there's the squashes that are actually being started inside. These are summer squashes, and you can start them inside or outside. We sort of go back and forth on when to start squashes and where. We have had mixed experience starting them inside versus outside. I think, though, we'll probably start a couple of these inside, and then most of them will just start outside in late May. Rainbow Swiss chard, Alaskan peas, Mackenzie green peas or green arrow peas. As you can see, like, it's a real mix of organic seeds, heirloom seeds, hybrid seeds. Like, we're not picky. We grow what we enjoy eating, and I think that's something really important. Like, nothing we grow we don't enjoy eating. There are things that I might not enjoy eating, and there are things that Mom might not enjoy eating, but everything we grow is stuff that everyone in the household actually, like, somebody enjoys eating. So this was the first, and this is how I've been doing plantings. Everything's been separated in elastic bands. So there's first planting. This was kitchen garden counter planting, and these will also be planted outside. This is second planting. We bought 2 packages of asparagus actually, and we only used 1, and we didn't use all the eggplant seeds, so we'll have some for next year. These are all the flowers that Mom has planted. And I think we're still waiting on 1 variety of lavender. This is the latest planting I did. Most of these packets still have seeds, so we'll be saving them for next year. And we'll probably actually save packets of everything, even the empty things, for next year, just so we know what we grew this year. Even though I do take notes, it is nice to see the packets of things and sort of have all the information that's on the packets. And then this is my final indoor planting of the year, which is smoothie cucumbers, lemon cucumbers, and mouse melons, which are apparently a heritage vegetable. This is an heirloom, and I believe this is an heirloom. Like, it's a real mix. And then we will be putting in a whole bunch of trees and everything. So I hope you enjoyed. I know this is a very different video, but I let you guys vote on it on Instagram, and this was a video you guys wanted to see. Let me know if you guys are putting anything in the garden. Are there any seeds that surprised you in this video? Honestly, I love seed shopping. We buy many seeds. We're gonna have to put in some other raised beds this year, but it's fun, and I like getting to spend some time outside in the garden. So I hope you enjoyed. Let me know down below if you're growing anything shown in the video this year. Do you feel like we missed something? Are we missing one of your favorites? Somebody recommended, I believe they're called chocolate peppers to me. And so that is definitely going on next year's list. But let me know if you have any other recommendations down below, and I hope you have a great day.